The UFC Heavyweight division is back, and I personally believe it is looking better than ever. With tons of dream fights on the horizon, this division has the potential to be the most exciting division in the entire UFC. I'm going to go through my rundown of the heavyweight division as a whole, but before I do that, make sure to subscribe as we have brand new videos coming out every single week. The heavyweight division has come a long way since the early days of the UFC, and on that long road we've seen many different fighting styles on display and a variety of different champions. But I believe that the division as we know it today, skill-wise, is the best it's ever been. With the top contenders we have, it feels like the division is absolutely stacked full of hitmen. Let's talk about a fight that's actually announced. In November this year, we have Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight championship at UFC 295. Now, if you would have told me 3 or 4 years ago that this fight was booked and locked in, I would have pretty much blown off in my pocket.
Oh, you guys made me eat.
But now, in reality, it just feels like the magic's gone and the what-if factor isn't there for me anymore. Just with how inactive both fighters have been, like, you know, Stipe hasn't had a fight since 2021 where he got viciously knocked out by Francis Ngannou. Just feels like Jon Jones is going to steamroll him. I mean, every single time Jon Jones fights, we always have that excitement of, is this the guy? Is this the guy to figure out the Jon Jones Rubik's Cube? And I don't think Stipe is that dude. I mean, I'll still tune in for the fight, but with a heavy heart. Maybe I am being a little harsh towards Stipe, and I'm not giving him the credit he deserves, as a lot of people consider Stipe to be the best heavyweight of all time. But another worry that I just have this feeling after this fight that Jones, if he beats Stipe, he might just completely retire, which ultimately would shut this division down again. It'd be such a shame, because like I said earlier, with the amount of top contenders and up-and-comers that we have the potential to have dream fight after dream fight after dream fight in the heavyweight division, and ultimately bring some life and revive this division, which I believe has been half dead for some time now.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Another fighter that deserves to be spoke about in high regard is Cyril Gone. Now, currently he sits at the #1 spot right behind Jon Jones. And let's not forget that Cyril Gone was on an absolute tear in the UFC. His first loss came at the start of 2022 when he fought at Francis Ngannou and lost by a decision. A year later, his second loss came by way of submission from Jon Jones earlier this year. But Cyril is always going to be around that top 5 contender spot. You know, he's never too far from a title shot. He's always nipping on the ankles of whoever is the champion. He's never more than 1 or 2 fights away. But we'll get into it a little later on what I think that next fight for Cyril Gone should be. We can't talk about the top heavyweight contenders without mentioning the absolute juggernaut that is Sergey Pavlov. Sergey has just come off his 6th first-round knockout in a row. I mean, the man's jabs rock people. It's ridiculous the amount of power that he has. But he doesn't feel like he's one of them, that generation of heavyweights that would just stand and bang and swing for the fences. He just has that much power. He just seems to be able to put people's lights out within usually only a couple of minutes. Could Sergey be the next heavyweight champion? He definitely has all the tools to, and a lot of people always say, well, he hasn't really been tested yet, but he hasn't needed to be. He's got this far from his knockout power alone. I know he got finished in his UFC debut by Alistair Overeem, but that was some time ago. Fighters change, they evolve, and they make the adjustments necessary. Obviously, by knocking out Curtis Blades earlier this year, Sergey has definitely cemented his name up there, right up there, the top contenders. And I believe that maybe even early next year or later on in the year 2024, we could see Sergey fighting for the championship. He always reminds me of Nemesis from the Resident Evil games. Just this absolute killing machine that will stop at nothing to get what he wants. Now to talk about someone who I wholeheartedly believe will hold the gold at one point during his life is Tom Aspinal. After watching his rise through the pandemic, you know, fighting in empty arenas and watching him smash through these opponents with relative ease, it's hard not to get behind him. I'm probably too old to have favourite fighters, but if I had to choose, it probably would be Tom. Last year when he got Volkov out of there in the first round, I was pretty much pulling handkerchiefs out of my arse watching that. And this is who I think Cyril Gone should fight next. Tom called to fight the winner of Cyril Gone versus Sergey Pavlov, and I think it makes total sense. This is a title eliminator. This is probably a #1 contenders fight, as it should be. Who doesn't want to see Gone versus Aspinal? Now, presuming that Aspinal can get Gone out of there and he goes to fight Jon Jones for the title, I think... No, forget about the biases. I'm going to say it. I think he beats Jon Jones. And I know that everyone's going to say, oh, well, Aspinal has no chance against the GOAT, Jon Jones. Leave me alone. I am allowed to dream. There are, of course, plenty of other contenders and exciting matchups in the very near future, including Curtis Blades versus Almeida. Almeida himself has been on a tear. He is a submission machine. His most recent win coming off Rosenstrike with a first round submission. So that makes for an exciting matchup in the heavyweight division. Curtis is a great grappler himself, and he has proven in the past that he has fantastic striking ability, which I think brings all that chemistry together to make the perfect exciting matchup. And that has been my heavyweight roundup. We've got a lot of potential great fights to look forward to, and I really hope that this new generation of a well-rounded fighter can actually bring the excitement back of the heavyweight division. But for now, I think that's all we've got time for. Thank you everyone for watching. If you can like, comment and subscribe, it really does help us out.